Yeah, so now while we're sidetracking, we got through all the topics that I wanted to cover. I did wanted to ask you, did you watch the Zack Snyder edition of Justice League?
I didn't even watch the normal Justice League, so no, I did not. Did you like it?
Yes, I absolutely did. I, as a person that watched the original and was a little disappointed in the way, because like the problem with the original is that, and it's probably a little bit of like Marvel hangover that I'm dealing with because Marvel did such a great job of setting up all of the characters for Avengers that when you got to Avengers, it felt amazing because you got to watch all these characters like, become who they were and like become this team.
Yeah.
And DC obviously didn't have a Flash movie, didn't have a Cyborg movie. You know, I think Aquaman came out after Justice League. I can't even remember because that's how bad their marketing and everything is.
I
And
think it did, yeah.
they don't even have it like they didn't even have a Batman movie, like a solo Batman movie with Ben Affleck as Batman. He just was introduced immediately into Superman versus Batman. So that's one of those where I'm like, okay, like you didn't even have an OG, like an original Batman movie for him, so that doesn't help. So I'm not
Right.
like fully understanding where this character has like come from. Like, usually with the original movies, you get to see like why the character is acting the way they are when they're in that setting. So with
Yeah.
Justice League, it was kind of hard because, like I said, you didn't have an original movie for Ben Affleck. You didn't have a Cyborg movie to introduce him, or even have him introduced in a different movie. You didn't have the Flash introduced in his own movie. Yes, they're making a Flash movie, but that's after the fact. You had Superman with the Batman movies, and those were fine. But then Superman versus Batman was kind of disappointing with the way that it played out. So like that doesn't help that. And then Wonder Woman, which is honestly probably him. Wonder Woman and like Superman might probably be like the best parts of the that entire thing. Wonder Woman's probably like the most satisfying part. I mean, they just made Wonder Woman 2 and it was not great. I mean, Wonder Woman was good. She was obviously a great actor in it, and should definitely continue to be Wonder Woman until she can't anymore. But that's the problem with the DC movie is that it was hard because they didn't introduce any of the characters. Even the motivations for like the bad guy didn't even seem like reasonable, or like they didn't really explain his motivations. And then the Zack Snyder version, which again is 4 hours long, so it's a lot long. It's long. It's a very long movie. The one thing I will say about the Zack Snyder version is that it is incredibly deep as far as going into like all the different things that motivate the characters to be where they are. Like you finally get to get a little bit of background knowledge on Cyborg. You get a little background knowledge on the Flash. You also get a little bit of kind of how the team came together. You get the motivations finally of Steppenwolf, which wasn't really explained as the bad guy of the original movie. You're like, okay, what are this motivations of this guy? Like what, world domination? Like great, here we are again. But then you actually figure out like, oh, it's playing into the comic because he's one of the he's kind of like a disgraced follower of, oh shoot, what's his name? It's gonna bother me. I can't remember his name. Anyways, I'll remember it later. But he's like a disgraced follower, and so what is he trying to do? He's trying to get the recognition and back into that group by taking over Earth because he believes the anti-life equation is there, which is a whole other thing in the DC universe too. Like that's a whole nother thing. Like I know that sounds a little ridiculous to most people,
Lame.
but no. Yeah, I know. But that's a big thing in the DC universe is like they're trying very hard to get this anti-life equation because that's apparently what allows them to rule over life in the universe. So,
Me too, man.
anyways, huh?
Me too. I'm searching for the anti-life equation every day.
Listen. Anyways, so yeah, so it's like they finally at least give you some explanation of that, like, and actually introduce him. Darkseid. That's who couldn't think of his name. Just thought of it. Darkseid. Steppenwolf being one of the disgraced followers of Darkseid, and actually coming to Earth to try to regain recognition from Darkseid and try to get back into Darkseid's good graces. That's why he's actually doing what he's doing. That's finally some motivation for a freaking bad guy, rather than it just being like, oh, he's here because yeah, he wants to take over the world. And there's these, oh, and by the way, there's these magical boxes that nobody knows what they are, but they like combine, and when they combine, he can take over the earth with it. And you're like, what does that mean? What are these boxes? What they explain this to me? Like what are they? Well, then in the new Justice League with Zack Snyder, they're like, "Oh, these boxes are technology and they're like a computer almost that once they combine, they make basically a supercomputer that helps to terraform the earth and make it into a place that they can govern." And I'm like, "Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you. That's what I needed in the first movie to actually understand why the hell I should care about these three freaking boxes that are apparently have to come together." Like it's just it's the stupid things like that that I'm like, this needs to be explained in the first movie and not the second cut. So,
For real.
regardless, thank God that Zack Snyder came out with this movie because it clears up a lot more. And then it also had like a much better ending and it had much better like explanation towards the end too. And it also had like fun little like it also teased an awesome possible Justice League 2 movie where I know you didn't watch it, but in Justice League 1, it just ends with like basically the whole gist of the original Justice League movie is, oh my god, this guy has to find these three boxes that if they combine will take over the world and we need to stop him. And it's like, oh no, but we don't have Superman because he died in like the previous movie. So like we need to get Superman back and like we can't do this on our own. We need Superman. And then guess what? They bring Superman back to life and he defeats the boss and that's it. The end of the like it's the end. And you're like, okay, so like the whole movie was like not about really Justice League. It was more about like, hey, we need Superman, and then that's it. Like instead, this new cut of the movie was like, yeah, bringing Superman back to life, we should do that because we owe it to him. But like also we're a good team together. And that's what like you actually wanted out of the first movie that didn't get shown in the first movie. And then not only that, but in this new cut, they actually have an awesome teaser for what the second movie could be, where they gave like subtle foreshadowing, and they also had a sequence that took place in the movie in actual scenes that was in the future, and it was supposed to be that like Lois Lane got killed somehow, and that basically sent Superman into an anger that then Darkseid like got him to be on his side, and then Superman's like taken over Earth and is like a villain, and then Batman like is like with the Joker and Cyborg and Wonder Woman or in the girl from Aquaman, and they're like trying to like stop this from happening along with Flash. And it's like that's amazing. Like I want to like that's a great concept for a movie. Like the fact that Superman actually goes bad and starts like killing and just taking over the world. Like that's amazing. Like I want to see that.
Yeah.
So then they finally tease that in the second cut of the Zack Snyder cut, and then they also introduced at the very end of the movie. Spoiler for anybody that hasn't watched it: this is an end scene in the movie, and then we've talked a lot about spoilers, so this is really not a big issue at this point. Uh, I apologize. I should probably put a spoiler alert on this clip when I show it. But anyways, then the next thing too is that they introduced the Martian at the very end of the movie. Like they as a new character that's going to join the Justice League. They didn't do that in the original cut, and he's like he's actually like an important member of the Justice League and has been in like all of the comics and stuff. So like the fact that he wasn't even mentioned, but then suddenly in this cut he actually has a scene where he shows up and is like, "Hey, I'm the Martian and I'm here to help." That's great. Like I can't wait. I'm so excited for the second movie, which I guarantee is not going to happen the way it should happen because like Zack Snyder had to like fight to get this movie made, and it's so much better than the original. It's not a spectacular movie by any means. I'm not sitting here saying that it's anything comparable to like Endgame or Infinity War or any of the Marvel movies, but it's a very big improvement on the original, and it makes it a very viable good movie. So that's where I'm at with it. So it was after that long rant that I just went on. It's worth watching, especially if you've seen the first and you're not impressed, and then you watch the Zack Snyder cut, and you're like, "Oh, all of this is finally explained." Now, if you haven't seen either, I highly recommend just watching the Zack Snyder cut and just not even spending your time on Justice League
Yeah.
like the original.
Makes sense. Yeah.